All right, welcome to Morning Mobility Tuesday morning. Hopefully, we're feeling well, ready to go this morning. We're going to start off with a little bit longer of a nice pigeon hold. So we're going to get one shin nice and parallel to our shoulders, sing that other leg back. You can walk that leg back as far as you need to, but we're going to square those hips across the front of that leg. And we're just going to find a nice, relatively comfortable position here. We don't want to get too comfortable or we're not really doing much, but a place that you feel like you are stretching out that glute of that front leg. So you can either stay a little bit higher with those hands down on the ground. You can walk those hands out if you'd like to, kind of deepen that stretch, or we can come down to those elbows and work to get that chest closer and closer to the ground. Thing we want to do want to be cautious of is that that other hip. All right, make sure this doesn't get opened. Try to really close that door, keep those hips nice and squared up to the ground. We're just gonna sit and hold about 30 more seconds. Just working to kind of sink down into that stretch. You get those hips a little bit closer to the ground as you hold. And just remember, we do want to be relatively active in our holds and our stretching, just to make sure that we're keeping that tension, keeping that stimulus on there, not just sitting for the sake of sitting, but doing some work while we're down here. So of course, as things start to loosen up, kind of sinking a little bit deeper into it, make sure that that stimulus is relatively constant. We'll go ahead and roll up out of there. And we're just going to flip to the other side. Same situation. Squaring that leg up, squaring those hips up. Usually, let's start a little bit higher. I'll kind of sink down as we go. Excuse me. Sink down as we hold it for a little bit longer. Feel a little bit looser, so I'll walk those arms out. Create that fold a little bit deeper. If you want to, you can even turn those shoulders over that knee. Kind of put a little twist into it, if that works a little bit better for you. But again, want to be cautious of this back hip. That's kind of pulled down towards the ground. Getting as much in that back glute stretched out as possible. Hold here about another 15 seconds. And then we'll roll up out of that one. All right. We're gonna try to do this sitting. We'll see how this works, but we're gonna try to get a little bit of thoracic movement, some shoulder movement here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of open that chest up as wide as we can, even leaning back a little bit. All right, if you want to reach those hands out, you can. We're basically just gonna roll everything in, kind of tuck that chin, round that upper back. And kind of sync this with your breath forward and backwards. When we inhale, when we open, and exhale as we come around. All right, again, trying to like really round that back, create as much space in that back as you can. We'll just go back and forth here. And try to sync with that breath as you exhale. Give you a little bit more room to breathe. Well, so let's go ahead and stand this up. I'm finding it a little bit difficult to balance, so try to get a little bit more movement here. I know it's early, we have to stand up, but it's for the best. So same deal, give you a chance to kind of get a little bit more lean back, get that low back a little bit more involved. And we really want to kind of tuck those shoulders or roll those shoulders in, tuck that chin. Roll those shoulders back and exhale as you come down. Let's get about 3 or 4 more. And let's relax there. All right. Let's take a minute. We're going to focus on our wrists next. Okay. Pretty simple one. Just being a very dramatic piano player. We're going to push those palms down to the ground, trying to lift those back of the hands up as far as you can. Really kind of squeezing your back of your forearm, stretching out the front of your forearm. All right. And then kind of hold that for a second or so. And then we're just going to lift that up, kind of the inverse. So we're kind of pulling that palm as close to the ground as possible, stretching out the back side, squeezing that front side. All right. So we'll just kind of go back and forth here, really making sure that we're spreading those fingers out at the same time. A little bit different mobility here this morning. Focus on some things we haven't focused on in a while. And we'll just get a few reps. Make sure you're nice and ready to take on the day today. And same thing here. Thinking about syncing that with that breath. Inhale as we go up. Exhale as we come down. And again, it doesn't have to be super fast or anything like that. It doesn't have to be aggressive. I urge you not to be aggressive. But whatever you feel like is a good pace for your breath. Let's go 2 more here. And we'll relax there and check that out. Alright, got some good blood flowing through there. We're going to move up the arm and focus on the elbows. Alright, so we're going to start this one out. Nice thumbs up, and we're going to point that right at ourselves. So we're going to roll those hands over those shoulders, kind of point to the back of the room. And then at that point, we're going to squeeze those elbows together. And we're going to continue rolling those arms out. Nice extension. And rolling that back around to that start. Alright. So we're rolling this over the shoulders. Squeezing those elbows together. Slowly extending those arms. And coming back. So same thing with here. Kind of syncing that with that breath. Once you've that point where the most tension is, usually it's somewhere around this point when we start extending those elbows. Want that to be your exhale. So we're inhaling as we come back around. And just keep rolling that around. Trying to be nice and relaxed in those shoulders. Really just thinking about those elbows. Don't get a whole lot of love. Let's go last one here. And then we're going to inverse that. So we're going to extend first. Then we're going to come back around, squeezing those elbows together and back. So again, finding that point of most tension. Inversely is probably on this kind of curl back in. So we're trying to hit both the insides and the outsides of the elbows on these 2 directions. Trying to really squeeze those elbows together when they get close. Let's go one more here. And we'll relax those arms. All right. So we got one more standing up here. A little bit kind of shoulder work. Also get some elbows and some wrists in there. So we're going to do palms up. All right. We're going to have those hands out front like you're receiving some serving trays. Okay. And then we're going to pass those trays underneath those elbows, keeping those palms up. We're going to hand it off to somebody right behind us. All right. We're going to reset out in front, pull it in under the elbows or under the shoulders and reach back. Pull it in, up and under, push it back. So a few things focused on here: suppressing those shoulders down, keeping those down as we squeeze, reaching back as far as we can here, and then come back around or just reset however you feel comfortable. Pulling them in, tucking them under, reaching them back. So again, keeping those palms nice and high. Again, sinking with that breath. Inhale in. Exhale, push. Let's go two more. And last one. And relax. All right. We'll move our way down to the ground. Get a little bit more hip work going on here. Something that you may be a little bit more familiar with. So we're going to kind of half kneeling. We're going to push those hips open towards that front foot. We're going to keep that knee down today. Certainly you can lift up if you need to. So what we're going to shoot for first is we're just going to kind of get a little bit more comfortable here. Take some time here if those hips need to open up. We'll hold here about 20 seconds or so. And then we're going to add a nice little twist to this. So what I mean by that, so my left foot is up. So I'm going to drop that right hip towards that ground. Front foot or back foot may slide a little bit, just depending on where you are. So we're going to kind of sink into a little bit deeper stretch. We usually prompt a very strong kind of support arm. Not super interested in that today. Primary focus is on the hips here. So whatever you need to get those hips as close to the ground as you can. Just promoting a good, need some grippier shoes. Promoting that twist, that rotation through those hips and that thoracic spine. So we're going to hold there for a couple seconds. We're going to return that back to center. And we're just going to push those hips back for a nice hamstring stretch at that same time. So remember on these hamstring stretch, we're really kind of gripping the ground with those toes. We're kind of squeezing through that bottom of that foot. Same time, releasing tension through that hamstring. If you need to set this a little bit higher, you can. Again, whichever way you're getting the appropriate stimulus. Alright, and then we're just going to shift that back forward into that lizard. Again, we'll hold that for a couple seconds. A little bit more dynamic work here. Go for that rotation on that same side still. And we'll square that back up and push it back to that hamstring. So we'll do about 3 or 4 each side here. Just holding for a handful of seconds or so at each position. Usually holding a little bit longer the first few reps and kind of shortening that time as we get more and more warmed up. Oh no, on this one, I'm actually getting a little bit of a lat stretch through that downside as well. So we'll go one more on this side because I feel like my hamstrings need it. I have to hold in my lizard for a couple seconds. So my hip feels really good already, just a couple of reps in. So nice little combination I like to do when been sitting for a long time. Just get on the ground for a couple minutes. And a lot of these movements, we'll switch sides, especially that we do first thing in the morning here for morning mobility, really designed to kind of be picked and chosen, kind of pick and choose as you go through the day. Kind of implementing these in when you feel like you're nice and stiff. You don't necessarily have to do the full routine, but if there's a specific joint or specific part of your body that's feeling it, you can take a couple minutes and just work through some of the stuff that we worked on in the morning. Oh yeah, I can tell that very stiff on this side. Can't quite get that hip to the ground, but hopefully next couple reps we can get there. So again, holding this first round just a little bit longer at each position. Definitely gonna have to keep the hips up a little bit higher on this hamstring bow too. But again, kind of cycling these movements in throughout the day. If you feel like you've been sitting for a long time, if you feel like you've been like really up on your computer with those tight traps, those shoulders to the ears, want to make sure those are nice and suppressed. Got a good long neck, so carrying any of these through the day with you. We'll switch this back around. But just a reminder, these are all up on YouTube. So you can certainly go back and thumb through a couple episodes, find some movement series you really like, and work to implement those throughout your day. And we'll push this back into that hamstring. We'll go 2 more times on this side. If you're feeling really good through this, you can either kind of flow through it a little bit more smoothly, or you can work on just holding any position that you may feel a little extra tension, may need a little extra love. Well, it's like to promote listening to your body, kind of seeing what spaces need a little bit more attention, and then giving those spots the attention that it's asking for. We'll push back and we'll go around one last time. We got just about a minute. And again, just kind of shortening that hold time as we go. Tell you this right hip is going to need a little bit more attention. We'll work on that throughout the day today. But that's going to do it for us this morning for some morning mobility. Hope you're feeling a little bit more mobile. And again, feel free to take any of these throughout the day with you as you're feeling stiff, need to get up and get some blood flowing.